Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today we continue with the Sergio Oliva Golden Era series, focusing on the blueprint to the incredible strength and massive physique of the myth. In my previous videos, I've focused on Sergio's childhood and early teens, where he both did hard labor as well as did a lot of weightlifting practice. There's no doubt that both of these activities obviously contributed to the incredible foundation of strength that he was later to take into bodybuilding. So today's focus is actually on Sergio's original weightlifting programs, including a special peripheral hard action weightlifting program that he most likely used under the tutelage of Bob Guida, who I'll talk about later. Now, Sergio was lucky enough in his early career, prior to bodybuilding, to be exposed to some of the best weightlifting methods and programs in the world. And no wonder that after all this weightlifting practice, he had developed the incredible foundation that would serve him as the base for his massive physique later on. All these years of hard labor and weightlifting just built up his tendons and ligaments and skeletal structure. Basically became a Superman. So let's get straight into this topic of Sergio's weightlifting programs. Now, in his early career, Sergio trained solely on Olympic weightlifting for about 4 years. I mean, that's a lot of training. And he got to a rather elite level, as mentioned in my previous video. And of course, he later defected from Cuba to the US. Now, the Cuban weightlifting programs mainly consisted of working the 3 Olympic lifts that were present at the time, and these were the press, the snatch, and the clean and jerk. And of course, this is very similar, and it was based on the Russian Olympic style of training. Here's a great shot of Sergio Oliva doing a split snatch with some incredible poundage while his teammates look on. Now, prior to Sergio defecting to the US, while in Jamaica for the Pan American Games, as I mentioned earlier in my previous video, he spent some time in Russia perfecting his technique. Now, the Russian Olympic weightlifting methods actually cycle the intensity and the volume to improve their athletes. And they also work on the major lifts, and that is the press, the snatch, and the clean and jerk. But they also have a heavy emphasis on the different types of squats, that is front squatting, back squats, etc. Although I would love to talk about these 2 different weightlifting methods, I am no expert at all in these, unfortunately, and I would have to do some serious research and probably buy some books. However, as I mentioned earlier, what we will be addressing today is the programs that he probably used in the US, and that's what we're going to get into right now. So when Sergio arrived in the US, he actually settled in Chicago and worked in a metal foundry all day, just as he's normally used to, just training hard labor. That's what he did, right? That's what he was made for God's sake. And he joined the Duncan YMCA, a real legendary establishment or facility for weightlifters and bodybuilders. What an excellent place to walk in. These old school gyms, I mean, I wish they were still available nowadays. You could just learn so much. And he met, of course, a legend, Bob Guida, who told him he had the perfect genetics. I mean, everybody told Sergio, yeah, the perfect genetics for bodybuilding. But Sergio was skeptical of bodybuilding at first, as many weightlifters were back then, and he continued to train in Olympic weightlifting. Bob introduced him, however, to peripheral hard action training and tried to convince him to try out bodybuilding, and ultimately succeeded in converting Sergio, thank God, to try bodybuilding, and the rest is history. So today, that's what I want to actually focus on. The special type of weightlifting program that Sergio most likely practiced under the tutelage of Bob Guida was actually a very special type, and that is called peripheral hard action weightlifting. Now, in order to address peripheral hard action weightlifting, I need to firstly discuss the standard set system, so you can actually have a comparison and see what the difference is. So the standard set system, as many of us know and many of us use, I mean, it can be a variety of exercises. For example, we have a bench press seated cable row, which is a push-pull so you got a push exercise followed by a pull exercise, and then you've got the triceps press down and barbell curl, another push exercise followed by another pull exercise. And these are not supersetted, so each exercise is performed for the required number of reps and sets and then followed by the next. Nothing special here. Now, many people nowadays still consider peripheral heart action as being circuit training, which it is not. Circuit training is completely different, well, similar in some ways, but still very, very different from peripheral heart action training, even in the choice of exercises, which I'll explain later on. Circuit system requires the performance of a sequence of exercises as shown here, and then repeating this circuit. And you only perform each exercise for one set, and you would immediately follow the next exercise and so on. And once you've actually done the full circuit, the circuit is then repeated for a number of times. For example, if we were to look at the previous program of the standard set system where all exercises were performed for 10 reps for 2 sets each, in a circuit system you would have the bench press, seated cable row, triceps press, and the barbell curl each performed for 10 reps, one right after the other, to complete the first circuit, and then you would repeat it for a second time to have the same amount of volume as the standard set system in the previous slide. This is the circuit system. Now, as I mentioned earlier, peripheral heart action training is quite different to circuit training. It has a similar flavor, but the actual structure is different in that although you are performing several different exercises in a circuit, you actually end up performing different sequences overall, and you actually perform several sequences in one workout. Therefore, it is firstly much harder than circuit training. Plus, the choice of exercises are also difficult. If you look at the exercises listed in this particular slide, you would see that you are alternating between 2 upper body and 2 lower body exercises, plus you would add 1 core exercise. And therefore, a single sequence would look like this. You'd have a military press upper body exercise for 10 reps, followed by a deadlift for 10 reps, right? You got upper body and lower body, followed by a dumbbell curl for 10 reps, followed by a lunge for 10 reps. And then you do finally your core exercise, leg raise for 10 reps. This sequence would be, so this circuit or this sequence would be repeated several times, and then you would move on to another sequence and also do this sequence several times and so on. This is peripheral heart action training as taught by Bob Guida in the early 60s, and most likely taught to Sergio Oliva'S in the early 60s. For example, here we have a great shot of Bob Guida just supervising and tutoring Sergio early on in his career at the Duncan gym. Now, it is said that Bob Guida actually developed an advanced peripheral heart action program for Olympic weightlifting that also incorporated bodybuilding exercises as well. And it is most likely that because Bob Guida was Sergio's mentor and his tutor, that he learned this style of training and began developing on it. And develop he did because he started sprouting muscles all over the place. He quotes that he just started getting huge. He just started getting massive. And so here we have a typical sequence of exercises, several sequences as you can see, that Bob Guida used in his peripheral heart weightlifting, peripheral heart action weightlifting program. This one, for example, was performed on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. For example, sequence 1 was squatting for 5 reps, followed by reverse curl for 5 reps, followed by crunches for 15 reps, and Olympic pressing. So you can see that it has elements of lower body training, upper body training, core training, as well as Olympic lifting. And that was the flavor of this particular type of training. Sequence 2 is similar again in that you've got a Olympic lift, the snatch for 3 reps, a core exercise, crunches again, some upper body workout there as well, neck and dumbbell flies. Sequence 3 being jerks off the rack, again Olympic weightlifting, lat pull down, upper body for 10 reps, frog kicks, lower body, and cleans, another Olympic weightlifting exercise. So you can see that it is peripheral hard action combined with Olympic weightlifting. And each of these sequences, so for example, the program would be like this. You would perform your sequence 1 as one sequence, and then repeat it, and they would have to repeat it 10 times. Can you imagine the volume? Jesus. Then you would move on to sequence 2 and perform this for 10 times. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of work. And then sequence 3, damn, for 10 times as well. That would be performed Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then you would do your Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday program as well. I have no doubt that they used some special vitamins for recovery, no doubt at all. No wonder these circuits are also called, or these programs are called, death circuits, because I mean, the volume is incredible. And here is a great shot again of Sergio Oliva performing a high pull, a heavy high pull, in his preparation for his workouts. Incredible workouts. I dare you to try it. It's incredible. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video on Sergio Oliva'S weightlifting programs. Now you know what to search for if you want to understand how he developed his incredible strength, because I really think that strength, having a strong foundation prior to bodybuilding, will make you a better bodybuilder. There's no doubt about it in my mind. History repeats itself. You've got Sergio as one great example. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, whether you believe it or not, also did Olympic weightlifting early on in his career. He also did a lot of powerlifting. You've got other examples such as Ronnie Coleman. He was a powerlifter as well. So having a strong foundation, having your bones strong, ligaments strong, and tendons strong. And I mean, Sergio did this stuff for years. I mean, he's been doing hard labor, construction, all that stuff, plus weightlifting for basically from his teenage years up to his, for a whole decade, up to his early 20s. After arriving in the US and joining at the Duncan gym, he actually joined the AAU, and you can clearly see that in this great photo of Sergio performing a clean and jerk with over 300 pounds. Unbelievable. Beautiful, beautiful photo. Wonderful strength from Sergio, and you can see the flag behind him there. So he joined the AAU, and of course began competing and started winning all these titles under the AAU, and then obviously was introduced to bodybuilding, and we know that the rest is history. The rest is history indeed, and this history I will cover in the next few videos on Sergio Oliva'S blueprint to the myth. I will also try and dig up his first bodybuilding programs for you. Now that we have understood that he took almost a decade in his foundation of strength, can you imagine how quickly the musculature must have bloomed on his physique, on his strong skeletal structure, on his strong articulate structure? Can you imagine the steel-like tendons and ligaments and how they could support the incredible massive muscles that he sprouted simply because he had this foundation? It is no surprise at all. To me, it is no surprise. He had the foundation of strength over a decade of basically doing strongman work, all that hard labor, and Olympic weightlifting. It is no doubt that Sergio was destined to become the myth. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. Leave me a comment and thank you for watching. If you like these videos, please donate at my PayPal account given below in the description of the video. And a last little video at the end of Vince's Secret Locker, book written by my very good friend Carl Coyne. I recommend you get it to understand more of Vince's secret methods, be it in the routines that he preached or the dietary advice. Hope you've enjoyed watching the video. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.
Hi everybody, I just want to recommend this phenomenal book, Vince's Secret Locker, volume number 2 by Carl Coyne. I've been looking at this for about 4 weeks and I can't put it down. If you get a chance, check it out. He also has a part 1 that I highly recommend also. Vince was the trainer to the stars and had an amazing, interesting gym that today there's still not equipment like it around. It was all made out of wood. He'll be on our radio show coming up probably in the next couple weeks or so. Have a great day, and again, highly recommend this book.